All right, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you a little bit tonight. For those of you who I've not met, my name's Tom Templeton, and one of the things that I've been doing over the last 20 years or so is helping school districts with a series of professional development opportunities, and to include helping districts find superintendents, assistant superintendents, etc. I also provide trainings for boards. I do executive coaching for up-and-coming administrators, and I do a lot of workshops for school boards on governance and leadership. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Just to tell you a little bit about the search process. Right now we are in the midst of recruiting candidates and introducing candidates to the position. We have another 3+ weeks or so left on that process. I have also been preparing to reach back out to the district to start to set up focus groups with staff members and with administrators and any members of the community, etc. So more on that will be coming as well. So to get a better understanding of the district, both from my perspective, but also as we take that information then from the focus group discussions and a survey that we can also put out, but take that information and use it to develop interview questions, to develop goals for the future of the district, to conduct references on candidates who may be in a position where they're under serious consideration. So I'm in the middle of preparing that, and we'll be reaching out to the board on that piece as well. Right now we have some, I would consider it reasonably solid interest. I have been in contact with probably 13, 14 people. I would say 7 right now, 7 or 8 are in the search, meaning they've actually submitted their resumes, cover letters. Others I'm in discussions with. And then I have a list of other people that I'd like to reach out to as well. So remains to be seen ultimately who comes forward in that process, but that's kind of where we sit right now, midstream. But as I told the board, I think I told the board this maybe at the beginning of the process, we just take one step at a time here and see how it goes and see how are you comfortable with the service at this step of the process. Okay, then we can move to the next step. The goal is ultimately twofold. One, to find a superintendent who can successfully lead Berwick into the future. But then the second part of this process is what do you do after you have found the candidate? And to that end, there's a lot of work that I encourage boards to do, and I'm involved in all of this to the extent the board would want me involved, is really taking a renewed look at the goals of the district, especially for the superintendent evaluation process. Can we put that together? Do you like the process you have now? Would you like to tweak it and move it around a bit and try to take it to a new level? That's up to you. I have various models that I like to introduce boards to. And as well, that board superintendent partnership. I work under no illusions that just because you've appointed a superintendent, it works. You really have to kind of work at the communication piece, the governance piece, the roles and responsibilities, and that's always something that's a work in progress. I try to stay with the district for an extended period of time to make sure that gets off on the right foot, if that's something that the board would want as we move forward. But as I sit here right now, that's who I am, that's what I'm doing, and that's the approach that I'm taking. I was told I have 5 minutes, and that's how much time I need because I do have to move on to my next assignment. But I'm certainly open for any follow-up that you may need before I sign off. I know you have a lot going on this evening.
We're good, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Wonderful. Hey, thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to catching up real soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Academic affairs.
We had an academic affairs committee meeting last week, And during that time, we reviewed the high school TSI plan that is linked up here. This plan is on the agenda for the board to approve tonight if there are no questions or concerns. Our primary focus for our TSI plan is looking at using student level data and using students to really drive the instructional process at the high school. I'm very proud of the high school team that came together to craft this TSI plan. They were identified because of some support needs for our students with IEPs, but they've really used it as an opportunity to look at the high school as a whole to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students. We also had an opportunity to look at a draft of the high school course handbook. This is the first step for us as we start to repackage our high school experience to follow more of a pathways model in the high school, so that's there as well for you to take a look at. The other items that we discussed is we are in the middle of our comprehensive planning process and we are ready to post the plan for public review and comment. So that will be posted later this week on our website as well as with a form so that you can provide feedback. We have had a very robust comprehensive planning team made up of board members, community members, students, parents, and faculty members who came together to craft our comprehensive plan. Some of the key things to note with this is that we did take this as an opportunity to revise the mission and the vision statements for the district so that they are really aligned with what the community was looking for our district as a whole. So these will be posted for public review and feedback for the next month. The other items that we discussed is the proposed calendar for 25-26, which is up for discussion in the regular part of our agenda as well. And then another item was a possible revision to our calendar for this year. We currently have a half-day scheduled on May 14th. We are looking at the possibility of removing that half-day on May 14th, which would be a calendar revision the board would have to approve. The reason for this is that we do have some AP testing and some Keystone testing happening that day at the high school. But it also is an opportunity for us to return some instructional time to the classroom in hopes that more of our community members in our buildings, our teachers and our students will take part in the United Way Day of Caring, which would be the week prior to that. So hopefully by having some of that instructional time added back into the calendar, they'll be able to take part in that. And then the other is just the enrollment numbers. I don't really have anything on that.
Anybody have any questions for us? Heard you got some teachers certified CPR and first aid.
We did. We had a very robust in-service day earlier this month. We didn't know how it was going to turn out because we did have some poor weather that morning. But during that day, we had a focus on wellness. So we had over 50 of our staff members that are now certified in first aid, CPR, and AED. Many thanks to Geisinger because they are looking forward to doing this every year with us. Nothing that we had on our in-service day cost us anything out of pocket. We were able to provide the first aid training. Our teachers were able to take part in some exercise classes sponsored by the YMCA. We also had trainings in youth suicide prevention, stress, anxiety, trying to think of what else we went over, mental health, vaping. We had therapy dogs here. We now have some therapy dogs that'll be in our buildings as well. It was a really, really fantastic in-service day, and I was very pleased with the feedback we received from our teachers for that day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have anything for us?
Yeah. So Pam and I, we're introducing, we got approached by the Special Olympics, and we're asking the board to add a unified bocce championship. It's a unified bocce team, and they're partnered with Special Olympics, and it is a PIAA sport. It's in the winter. It's a 60 by 12 PVC court with the soft bocce balls, all the same rules. They supply all the instruction. We would have 2 coaching positions with a $1,000 stipend each year that is included from the Special Olympics. It's a winter sport. We'd like to try it in the spring. If we can start the MOU, we get the approval from the board for the MOU. It would be a club sport this spring. They bring in all the training. They bring in all the courts, all the training, all the equipment. They supply everything. so moving forward in the winter, if it becomes a sport in the winter time, it's governed PIAA rules. They follow the same rules that all the other sports involved. We would have to, I think there was 6 to 8 matches, and they're going to have 2 home matches. So we would have to have transportation for the other matches that are away. But like I said, it is a PIAA sport. There's a couple teams, I know Dallas and Hazleton, there's a couple teams, but they do it geographically, is what they do. They don't have Valley Conference League or the league down here in District 4. What they do is they do it geographically, so they put you as close as they can. So what we're asking this year, and then in the club, and even in the winter time with all our gyms, they can use the cafeteria to practice, because like I said, it's a PVC court you can take apart and put together. And then, but the actual games have to be in the gym. They use a scoreboard. We pay a scoreboard operator. We have to pay 2 officials for 2 home meets, so that we settled before. I don't know, Pam, do you have anything you want to add? Pam,
The only thing else, besides it being a sport, is that the Unified Bocce Champion does ask for an inclusive youth leadership club to then bring more awareness for student inclusive and activities that they would do. So that would be the only additional cost, other than a club advisor who would then move forward as then having that club as part of then our high school to then do more building initiatives. There is a stipulation in regards to the roster on students then qualifying. You do have to have a proportionate amount of students that are identified with an intellectual disability or cognitive delay, as well as then regular education students without disabilities, in order to have an inclusive team. So there does have to be a split roster, and you can have up to 10 on a rosters and up to 2 teams.
Any questions? Thank you.
You have my report. I don't really have a lot to add other than speaking to Paul over the last few days. Last week I met with EI Associates, and over the next couple of weeks we're going to work on onboarding the deficiency report that they gave us into the FMX system. So, like I said, I think we can take care of it over the next couple of weeks. It's gonna take FMX and EI to do some stuff digitally for us to be able to do that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of an issue.
Thank you. Any questions for Brent, his report?
Don, would you?
You ready?
Take it over?
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Good evening.
Would you introduce your?
I'm ready. Yep.
Thank you.
You got 5 minutes too.
Just cognizant of time and everything. Again, Don Marigoni, core company, the point of contact, account manager with me. Brian Burfield, he serves as our electrical engineer for the project we're looking at. Doug Boswell is our director of engineering and also serves as a mechanical engineer. Cameron Lynch is one of our project development specialists, and does energy engineering. And Colin McChesney handles the Williamsport office general management duties plus project management. So there's a lot of background that's within the document that I have. Again, based on time, unless you want me to go over in detail, I'll kind of just highlight
Probably
that.
the deficiencies that you're finding, and then also the solution that you're recommending.
Yeah. If you move to really slide 6, starts talking a little bit about the mechanical systems that are installed. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, it's aged infrastructure. So you're starting to see more repeated failures, just the age beyond the life cycle as well. So definitely looking at planning to replace is a smart move to moving ahead. So if you look at slide 9, it starts talking about the type of system we're going to put in. I'll have Doug, if you don't mind coming up as well, and we'll talk a little bit about the HVAC that we're looking at. So maybe just kind of highlight the
Okay.
technicalities, that'd be great.
So basically, the primary focus of this is definitely classroom cooling and heating. So we're proposing a tall vertical heat pump is what we call it. So you can kind of see a couple of the options as the way that they can be implemented in the space with either plenum or duct above the ceiling or a spiral duct off of it. But basically, it allows for decentralized cooling and heating throughout the building. So it's not packaged rooftop units or anything like that. But each unit has an energy recovery wheel in it, so it allows for humidification within the space. So and there's also the opportunity for demand control ventilation. So it allows you to, which is an energy savings piece of the project, basically, to limit OA, outdoor air, into the space as needed.
And the way the ceilings are, because of the height restrictions, we are recommending putting the duct above the ceiling, using that for proper airflow throughout the space. The unit ventilator that's currently under the window, when that's removed, we would be rebuilding out that casework as well.
You can kind of see it on the one picture in the middle there, the white cabinetry. So that's all new cabinetry. Yeah. And the main reason why we're proposing this, in general, the ceiling plenum space is pretty limited for the wings of the building, other than this section, this newer section. The rest of them have pretty low ceiling plenums, so the decentralized kind of unit in each space is a little bit easier to install rather than running new ductwork from a large overhead system. It would require a lot more lowering of ceilings. So.
As part of this is kind of the main thrust of the project. Also includes electrical upgrades, upgrading your service from 800 amp to 1200 amp. It also includes replacing boilers, your heating system, and getting the piping, reusing the piping, but flushing out that pipe, cleaning it out, getting valves replaced, and things like that.
Yeah, as Don kind of mentioned on the prior slide, so you can see the whole system was from 1996. So you're at 30 years pretty much. So piping, stuff like that they have a longer life to it. That piping can have like 50-year life, but in terms of the equipment, equipment's definitely at the end of life and ready for replacement throughout the building.
Each classroom would have that unit.
Correct. Yeah. So each classroom would have that type of unit, depending on. Most of them will be located in the corners of the rooms, but some will be, depending on availability with windows and stuff like that, we might have a few that are more shaded towards the middle. But
They're standalone units, correct?
correct. Yeah. So they're standalone cooling, but they would have hot water in them, so they are relying on
Heating,
a central plant.
central boiler, hot water.
Correct. Yeah.
Not electric.
Correct. Yeah.
If you go to slide 10, the second energy conservation measure we looked at, or just your large group spaces, kind of broke those up separately. Primarily, they will get rooftop units to serve them, single zones. Some areas are zoned out for variable air volume with heating in them as well. Anything else to kind of add on that?
No, I mean, so the real changes are the multipurpose room currently does not have any cooling. That would be provided with a packaged unit that would sort of provide heating, cooling in space. So, yeah, and then other than that, it's all consolidating into single units. Currently, most of the spaces have an air handling unit coming from below the ceiling or something like that, and a condensing unit on the roof. So we're proposing to go with a package system, which allows for the dehumidification. Just more efficient system.
We looked at this building, or this side, this wing as well, district office. So we're looking at replacing the indoor air handling unit and the condensing unit that's on the roof with a rooftop unit that's packaged, similar as Dr. just mentioned. That is sized for current capacity now. And if you were looking to ever kind of add some classrooms, there would be capacity in there to do for future as well. So there's flexibility in that design.
Yeah, just with the possibility of going to classrooms, there's potentially a denser occupancy load. So that's why it's planned with this to be a slightly larger unit to allow you to give you some flexibility in terms of your.
That's covered under option 1 and 3.
That's
Page 14.
slide 11.
Yeah, but for
Yeah.
options, I'm looking.
We don't go to that slide.
Slide 14.
I think so, yeah.
1 and 3.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep.
The last things we looked at, and then right before we get to the slide that's on the screen there is slide 12, generator installation. There is no generator currently, so we looked at potentially adding that, and that would pick up critical systems like your fire alarm security systems. It would also pick up some IT stuff and your boiler, one boiler, and hot water pump, so just your critical infrastructure. Lighting is an option, and you'll see lighting is probably the biggest payback from an energy savings perspective. Since we're going to be putting HVAC in classrooms, a lot of times we're going to be modifying the ceiling to accommodate the ductwork above it, so it kind of makes sense to at least consider doing the lighting at the same time as well. And then we also look at fire alarm, since the fire alarm is kind of obsolete, it's outdated, and the clock and paging system just as options as well. Slide 13 kind of shows a little bit of just a kind of a general map, kind of that reddish color or what would be the small vertical heat pumps, and then the purplish color are the rooftop units, single zone, and then of course up the district office area and some of the other offices have in the green are rooftop units with some zoning within them called variable air volume.
On your map there, what color rooms or spaces up there are covered by option 2?
Option 2 is going to be primarily all the classrooms, so that reddish color area.
But option 2 doesn't allow you to add on in the future?
No, so option 2 is the classrooms, right? So kind of the classroom is going to be sized properly for the classroom. The only area we're talking about for that flexibility was for this area, the district administration office. So that's your ECM number 3 on that spreadsheet. That's right now that's checked in program option 1 and program option 3.
But option, the base option does have the boiler room upgrades in it.
Yes.
So at any point, if you chose to do just classrooms and boiler room, and then and either address the large group spaces like the library and stuff like that, and this area, that you could always do that in the future if you, as a second phase or something.
If you look at these 3 options, kind of broke up. The first option is really taking care of all your HVAC. It has the generator and lighting that goes to that as well. It gets you full controls upgrade. I'm going to jump to option 3, which is just everything that's pretty self-explanatory. And then option 2 gives you kind of that, it's kind of more of a phased approach where you're going to focus on classrooms. You will still have some existing equipment, existing controls in the building through option 2. And then of course, you can kind of pick and choose a little bit beyond that if you wanted to add or subtract.
I asked my question wrong. I would like to know what colors ECM number 2 covers on that map. Not option 2.
ECM number 2. That is all your large groups.
So that would be the kind of the purplish dark blue, and then the green areas as well. And there's also the yellow are actually would be also in there as well. Those are smaller like split system cooling systems basically. And just kind of to clarify, so with option 2, if, just addressing the classrooms and the boiler room, there would be a little bit of a kind of a hybrid control system there with like the new modern DDC and then the remaining kind of pneumatics.
So, under option 2, which parts would still be pneumatic?
So under option 2, basically you all of the areas that we kind of just mentioned, the blue and green, they would remain as is basically. Yeah.
Don, in terms of the agenda, or in terms of making a decision tonight, if the board were to vote on the notice to proceed, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so to get work completed this summer, the biggest driver is electrical equipment. It's the longest lead time, so we are kind of pressed a little bit to get that in. The notice to proceed would allow us to actually at least get that on order this week. And then it would kind of follow through with the rest of the design. But that's kind of the critical path to being able to do the work this summer. After the notice to proceed, it's kind of a motion that we would follow up with a formal contract that kind of outlines all the savings and the guarantee and performance guarantee of the project.
So the board doesn't have to hit the options tonight, but they would have to author or approve the notice to proceed.
Yeah, the notice to proceed and at least have an idea what we're going to be selecting. Yeah.
And March 10th is pretty much when it had everything would have to be decided.
Do we have any additional questions for that? How does this generator sizing compare to the generators we have on the other buildings?
This one is 100 kW. At least the buildings off the top of my head, I can't remember quite what size they are, but it encompasses all the systems that should be on that part. So your egress lighting, your IT, your security, your fire alarm, a boiler. That way, in case there would be a power outage, you could at least have 90 minutes of hot heat in the building in the event of that in the winter. It's very atypical nowadays to see a school without a generator, so it's a good system to have to really bolster your safeties in the building.
Thank you.
Jared, it would also have the new walk-in coolers on it as
Yes,
well.
as well.
For food service.
Steve, I know you had some.
It's been a wish list item for IT for as long as I've been here. Because that is the hub of the district behind that wall. And when we lose power here, then all the buildings will be disconnected. So if we can keep that afloat, that would be a really good thing.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Post, do you have anything for us from the CSIU?
Yeah, very little, because of the storm. As you know, January was school directors recognition month, and they had the students make us wooden coasters, and they were made by the students, which was a thank you for serving. There were 17 districts and 17 directors, so I thought that was nice. And then they voted that night on extending the executive director's agreement, and that'll go for 4 more years till the 29th. That's all.
Thank you. We're gonna backtrack the budget.
At our last budget committee, it really was more about the HVAC and some of the options that McClure had provided. So really our next one is scheduled for February 18th, 5 p.m.
What time was that?
5 p.m.
Thank you. We did not have a policy committee meeting this month. What's that, Mr. Hess?
Yeah, the meeting we just had, actually prior, a couple weeks ago, they had their annual open house. It was well received. And unfortunately, we're looking for a principal again because the principal we just hired has put in his resignation, so there's early processing of that. And just both said, for school director appreciation, they did a presentation to JOC members, like oral culture, did flowers, and printing and graphics did tumblers, which was very nice and touching. And we also are changing up our meetings a little bit because we feel the need for having like a workshop ahead of time. So starting this month, we're doing a workshop the Tuesday before, which actually is tomorrow, to discuss and hash stuff out before. And there's times, we're on that topic where it might be something you consider here where we could actually have, go back to the old system where we do it the first Monday and the second, because that way, because I know a bunch of us had questions about the calendar and that, well, if we do a workshop before, we can hash it out and not have to worry about trying to vote on the same night. Just food for thought.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the committee meeting.
Oh, the other thing was, I almost forgot, is we did the preliminary budget down there. And this month it's going to be voted on for the GOC to send it back to the Senate districts, and at that point, we can only, let me know if you want to have the director and the business manager come and do a presentation. Some years people here want it, some years they don't. If anyone wants it, let me know, and I'll gladly put them on the agenda for March.
Great, thank you. Next, we have approval of the board minutes from our January 13th meeting. Any questions on the minutes? Motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Budgetary transfers. Any questions from Ms. Romeo? Motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Any questions on the monthly bills? Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Paterno?
Yes.
Mr. Levin?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Nestler?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes, except for, JP. Yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes.
Just want to recognize our retirees and congratulate them on this big step. I've been here since December. I've gotten to know at least 3 of these individuals pretty well, and the others I just kind of met in passing. But again, everything just goes back to they're all very talented people. They're all dedicated people. I've gotten to know Steve. Steve Christian is one of the retirees tonight. I think he's done a great job managing and bringing Berwick into the 21st century. And he'll be passing the torch on to his successor at some point, before the summer. And his wife, I was amazed that you still had a student newspaper here, paper newspaper. That's great, and the quality of the stories were excellent. So again, I want to commend Steve and his wife for the work that they've done, as well as to Gene and to Jill Simmons and Marina Davenport. And as far as Marina is concerned, I was actually her high school principal when she started her career. So I had the opportunity to see her out then as well as the acting superintendent. So again, I know known Marina, and I know she's a very talented person and has done many good things here at Berwick. And the other thing I just want to mention is just want to pay tribute and extend respect to public servant who recently passed away. I worked with him at Southern, but he served the students at Berwick for many years as a member of the GOC. So John Yoakum, he was a board member at Southern Columbia, and then also at the Columbia Montour Votech Joint Operating Committee. John passed away. John was an advocate for students. He had a deep love for ag education, vocational education, and students all throughout, including the students of Berwick. So again, I just want to thank John and wish him, eternal rest in peace, and I wish John will rest in peace.
Thank you. Administrative reports are attached to the agenda. Does anybody have any questions?
The administrative reports, I want to thank our administrators for putting together such excellent reports. And again, they're in the public section of Board Docs, and everyone is encouraged to read them.
That brings us to public comment. 3 minutes. This period is for agenda items only. Please state your name and township of borough. Nobody. All right, well, we'll move on. Two items under general for approval. Do you have any questions on any of these items? We get a motion to approve general. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Academic affairs, we have 4 items. Any questions on any of these items? Motion to approve academic affairs items 1 through 4.
So.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we need to, looking for approval of the CSIU general operating budget. We need a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Lanning,
Yes.
Mr. Nestle,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mrs. Post,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Curley,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Yes.
and Mr. Yost.
Yes. 2 items for transportation. Any questions? Motion to approve transportation items 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We have 10 items for personnel. We'll approve with 1 motion. Anybody have any questions on any of these? Motion to approve personnel items 1 through 10.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
P9, baseball coach.
P9 baseball coaches, with the exception of 3 volunteers and track and field head coach. No.
I'm a no on the baseball coaches except for the volunteers and the track.
You get all that?
Rachel, I'm abstaining from.
You need any repeats for P9? We have enough that P9 still passes? Okay. Personnel item 11, salary adjustment for Susan Eisenhower. I get a motion to approve. Second. Roll call.
Mrs. Curley,
Yes.
Mr. Lanning,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Abstain.
Mr. Nestle,
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. Personnel item 12, Gabriel Waltman, to be special education teacher at Bachelor's Step 1. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Capurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. Personnel item 13, approve Jason Kingery, special education teacher, Bachelor's Step 20. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Lanning?
No.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Capurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
No steps.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. Anybody have any old business to discuss? All right, we'll move on to new business. First item is approval of the MOU attached to the agenda. Anybody have any questions on that? Motion to approve the MOU? Second?
Second.
This is a roll call, please.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Capurlo?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
I abstain.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. So new business number 2 is to approve the notice to proceed from McClure to start ordering parts for these projects.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Capurlo?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. This brings us to our last round of public comment. 3 minutes. Please state your name and township or borough.
Hi, Danielle Fishball, Salem Township. When kids first go to high school, they want to learn how to drive and not ride the bus. You are teaching accounting, you are teaching how to learn how to teach, criminal justice, and nursing, which are all good. But I don't understand why you can't teach these kids driver's ed when there are 60 new teachers that are going to be graduating from Bloomsburg University. You're asking parents to pay $500 to the CSIU for each kid just to have driver's ed. The economy these days, people cannot afford that. Realize that. Bloomsburg High School is the only high school that has driver's ed. Why doesn't our school provide it? They used to provide it. Please, think about it and reconsider it and try to provide it. Also, and I'm sorry, but I have kept my mouth shut for a long time. But basically, you are having a heating system in a school that has no problems, and you are just letting it sit there. And you are having a school over here that is having heating problems, and you are letting kids be in there. When one day you send kids to a school when it was 5 degrees, 5 degrees, and you did not have a fit day, and you go ahead and send the kids to school, you had a 2-hour delay, but it was still 5 degrees all day, and you made the kids go to school. Why? are we not using Nescopec Elementary School? We voted for the people on the board to be able to do something, and they said they were going to do something about Nescopec. But now, all it seems like you're doing is playing follow the leader. Do something. And also, I would like West Berwick to have some more signs. There are barely no signs. There's only one sign right in West Berwick for basically for people to slow down as they first come in. And my daughter has almost gotten ran over twice just trying to come out of the car and trying to get over to the sidewalks to be able to drive, you know, to get over to walk up to the school. Why can't we have more speed limit signs or anything for these people to slow down and tell the teachers or even tell the parents to slow down? These are our kids. Make them slow down. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Randy Cucurlo, Berwick. Want to thank the board and Bo for giving me this opportunity to coach the junior, or sorry, not junior high, the varsity girls, and some of them are in attendance tonight. So I've coached all these girls sitting here. Coach Bob and I have been coaching together for the last 10 years, and we really appreciate this opportunity to continue to coach these girls. And for some that when Coach Bob and I started over 10 years ago, those are the three that were a part of it. So to coach you one last year before you leave is a great honor. Just want to thank you for that. But I also want to bring to light, which I'm sure you already have heard, and you probably said that in the last meeting, that it's a great legacy to follow in Coach Paul DePippa's shoes. 188 wins in 16 seasons, 2 district championships, has spent a lot of time and a lot of part of his life really giving back to the girls for the love of the game and just a dedication that he did. So Coach Bob and I know that we have shoes to fill, and we're looking to fill those shoes. And we're really excited for what's going to be coming up here in the next few years. So again, thank you very much, and ladies, let's get to work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some questions. I can't hear so good, but am I under understanding that you approved for the seating system today to be done?
We approved to move forward with the project.
Yes.
And so it's going to be installed?
Yes.
Okay. Is the stuff going to be American made or is it foreign made?
Gentlemen?
It'll be American made.
It'll all be American made?
Yes.
The steel will be American made?
I believe it will be.
Okay, no, I don't want to believe anything. I can believe the moon has 3 men on it. I want to know. Next thing, can anybody get in from outside in these units?
I don't believe they can.
Huh?
I don't believe they can.
They will all be located on.
So there'll be they can't go on the roof and get inside from any of these units, correct?
No.
No, you're positive?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm writing this down and dating it, okay? Because I don't want to hear anything about something happening to our kids in a later date. Next thing is, you said this system will pay for itself in 20 years. Is the system guaranteed to run for 20 years without no failure? No. It's just like the boilers that we had up at the block company. They were always breaking down and we always had to have parts. Is there spare parts available for the system?
I think you have a misconception there. I don't think, if it was said, I don't know, it might have been taken out.
I cannot hear you, sir.
This system won't pay for itself in 20 years. I don't believe that was said.
Well, my feeling is if this system is going to be paid $7 million for this system better work for the 20 years, no fails,
I would agree with
okay?
that.
They're going to raise the taxes to put this system in? Does anybody know that?
The district has the money to pay for this system.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
The district has the money to pay for this system.
So there'll be no tax raise?
There will be no tax raises
Because we was gonna you raise the tax.
Let me finish. There will be no tax raises
Wait,
associated with the
you're
city
taking
back
my
project.
time off of this clock.
You can have it back, but there will be no tax raises associated with this project.
Okay, now, because there was gonna be no tax raise when they shut down Nescapec, and they were gonna do additions to this school, but they raised the taxes to do that, and nothing happened to this school. And in that instance too, there's 2 architects that came here during that time and gave $1,500 donations for being here that time. What happened to those 2 $1,500 checks? Were they put into the school board things? Were they deposited? What happened to those things? I asked this question several times before. I get no answer. Okay? Now, we all voted on today here, you all voted on a $7 million thing on who knows the best about this system. These 5 gentlemen? Are these 5 gentlemen or 6 gentlemen going to be here if something happens to that system? No. It's going to be that man there sitting. He'll have to maintain and go work the system. There always has to be a backup plan. A backup plan. And I have not seen nothing from any of these gentlemen to explain a backup plan. All they're saying is they're going to save you $20,000 or $40-some thousand if this system. And I have not yet, in the history of being here 70 years, seen any system last 20 years. It must be made by God this time.
What did you say your name was, sir, for the record?
You can have my name for the record. It's Daniel Kishpo.
Daniel Kishpo.
Right.
Thank you.
And I intend to ask for a meeting with the superintendent in the next couple of days. I would like to speak to him about some things that happened at Westbury School by taking oil tanks out that I know what I dumped in them, but they just were taken off and nothing was done with the property. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Before the meeting, we had an executive session with 3 personal items to discuss, personnel items, and 1 contract item.
And we'll need a brief executive session for one personnel item.
Next meeting will be here March 10th at 6 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Second.